Looking at our queries section for our database management system, SQL, the syntax that we're going to follow is the following. We have our select, we have from, and we have where. In our select, we are selecting from our attributes. That's going to be anything inside of here. In our from, we're going to be selecting from our table list. That's going to be like employee, department, department location, and so on. And our where is going to be the condition. And the condition is depending on what the user is specifying, what we want to search for. If we have many tables we want to pull from, they're separated by commas. So with our table list in here, we would have like employee, comma, department, and so on and so forth. And this is the same for our select and where as well. So this example, we are going to use it to look for and solve for the following queries. In our first example, query 0, we want to retrieve the birth date and address of the employee whose name is John B. Smith. We want to start by writing out our select, our from, and our where. That's the first thing that we're going to do. And in our select line, we want to retrieve the birth date and the address. So we're selecting birth date and address. That's going to be from our employee table. And since it's from our employee table and our from, we're just going to put employee. We don't use any other tables. Then our condition is where our F name, first name is John, and the middle initial is B, and the last name is Smith. The ands are just joining these conditions together. The SQL relation table is a bag of tuples, not a set of tuples. This means that duplicate tuples are allowed. However, we can turn this into a set, and we'll go over this more later. With query 1, we want to retrieve the name and address of all employees who work for the research department. So this is another example. So if we look at what we have here, we know that we want to use the employee because it's talking about the employees and the department. So we're looking at employees and department. Now for this one, it's telling us to retrieve the name. So that should be like first, middle, initial, and last name. We'll be getting all of those. And then it wants the address as well. And the address is going to also be an employee. But it's going to depend on the research department. So what type of department it is. That means the department name should be research. So that's how it's going to look right here. Now we're going to have to join these two together. And a way we can join them is through the department numbers. So D number goes to our D number, or D no goes to D number. So that's how we're going to make this. So with that in mind, we are going to select the first name, middle initial, last name, and address. Those are everything that we want. And so these all come for our employee table. So that means they're going to have to be in our employee table right here. We know we have to use department because that's where this check is going to come from, research department. If we have more than one table, it's automatically considered a Cartesian product of two tables. We don't want a Cartesian product, we want to join them instead. This is handled in our where clause. The join is the D number equal to D no. So when we look at this, we have our D number and it's equal to D no. Now the order doesn't matter, you put them back and forth, but basically that what we're saying is that this D number and has to be associated with this D no. And since they're associated, we can join these two tables together. And since they're joined, we can now look at them as a whole. So D number is equal to D no. And this is happening when our D name is equal to research. So those are everything that's going to give us this right here. Now, if we have a lot of conditions down here, we should use parentheses so when we have multiple things we don't get confused and we don't confuse our code. So like something like this could be confusing if we didn't have our parentheses. In example 2, we have for every project located in Stafford, we want to list the project number, the controlling department number, and the department manager's last name and birthday. We're first going to redraw this with relational algebra. So with relational algebra, we know that we want to start off with the project located in Stafford. So that's going to be our project right here, and the location has to be Stafford right here. So that's going to be the first one. Next, we want to list the project number. So the project number is going to be this one right here. So those are what we're listing so far. We have the controlling department number, and the department number is going to be up here. So that means we have to link these two together. We have to join them. And then the department manager's last name and birthday. So that means that we are going to have to go to our employee table. And so since we're going this way, we go this way up here, and then we get the information for our employee. And the employee is the manager's last name and birthday. So last name and birthday. So that means that in our actual code, we have, of course, our select from and where first. And what we want to return is the project number, because we want to list the project number. So we're returning that. We want to return the department number, the controlling department number, and the manager's last name and birthday. So all those are inside of our select. And then we have our from. And let's look at tables that this is happening on. It's happening in our employee, our department, and our project. So that's going to be where the from is. We can separate them with commas. Next we have where. So where is basically where it's happening. So notice how we have a project location. It's Stafford, so that's like the first condition. That has to be the name. And then we have an and. This is and when our department number is equal to department number, or d num is equal to d number. That's basically this join right here. And then we have where our manager SSN is equal to SSN. So that's joining this right here. Without it, we wouldn't be able to link them together. So we can see they're joining in the relational algebra drawing. And that's going to be it for our examples here. We've gone over the introduction and basics into our queries and the syntax of it. Next, we're going to look at our qualifying attribute name and some more information.